We don't know where or to whom. If he was reborn as a girl or a boy.
Oh, what was that?
If he was reborn as a girl or a boy.
If he was reborn as a girl or a boy. Or to whom. If he was reborn as a girl or a boy.
That's me. That's me being everyone on Twitter last night.
If he was reborn as a girl or a boy.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what she's saying.
She's saying...
We don't know where or to whom. If he was reborn as a girl or a boy.
Literally, all I hear is, we don't know where or to whom. Violating canon and destroying the entire series.
Yeah, you're not alone there. You're not alone there. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that.
She knew where he was going to be born because
she never says that she doesn't know.
She heard the foretelling that he was born on Dragon Mount.
That he was reborn. But
anyway,
also, I don't think it changes anything in my opinion. Even if, like, they say canonically that the foretelling she heard said they, them, and never specified he or she, that doesn't change anything in my opinion. And I know a lot of people disagree with me. And that's why I'm going to call this a real debate, because it's like not based on I mean, there are facts in the book that we need to talk about in actual canon, but this is mostly just like opinion on what people think.
The drama over this is fucking ridiculous.
I agree, Katie. I agree.
And we're not here to be drama.
No.
We're here to have a level conversation about how to interpret this.
Yeah.
Okay, so literally, where did anything say that it had to be a boy? So Robert Jordan, this is where these people are coming from. And we're going to do our best to be intellectually honest.
Absolutely.
And give the strongest case to our opposition possible. So that when we totally destroy them, it's all the more devastating. Just kidding. We're not in the interest of destruction.
Right. Okay. No, totally.
Robert Jordan, in an interview outside of his 4 million word magnum opus, said that the dragon is always a man. And
that is true.
While the champion of light can be born as a woman, that person is Amarisu, and that's a different soul. And there's these two champions of the light, and the pattern spins them out as needed.
Exactly. So champion in the light and the dragon are not the same thing. The dragon is always the champion of the light, but the champion of the light is not always the dragon.
Right.
Does that make sense, folks?
Amarisu.
Can also be Amarisu, the
basically
female
the dragon champion. If the dragon had like tits.
Just like a huge, like a sexy ass, like fuckable dragon.
Yeah. So that is what Robert Jordan said. And in that sense, it is canon to Robert Jordan's world.
To Robert Jordan's world.
But there are, first of all, this turning that we're watching this TV show, it's not going to be book canon. It's going to be show canon.
Correct.
Things will be changed.
Yes.
Second of all, I obviously love Robert Jordan and spend all of my time thinking about this story that he wrote. But I question how important it was to him that this was part of the canon of his ontology and his world, you know? He wrote 15 books, 4 million words. Mm-hmm. That's like 10 times the entire Shakespeare cycle. And he never established this within the books. He spent lots of time establishing the detailed silver threading on various pairs of boots, and lots of time detailing the meals that were served in inns. But it was never important enough to him to detail that the dragon had to be a man. And to me, you can have different interpretations of this. Maybe it just was never relevant from a POV, but I question whether this is something that was that important. But even if it was important to him, as readers, we are free to have our own understanding of the world that we love.
That's true.
And as creators, the people making the show are free to modify it in the way that they think best serves the ultimate product. And this is a TV show being made in 2021, not a book being published in 1990. Things have changed. and the people involved are different. This isn't the creation of one cishet guy. This is the creation of a whole team of people of all sorts of intersecting identities. And I think the idea that the dragon at like an ontological level has to be a man, I feel like it's outdated. Honestly, it's outdated and it feels like it's not in service of what I see as the poignant themes of the story.
Agreed. And so then the counterpoint would be that that's why it's important, right? The whole reason they're afraid of the Dragon Reborn is because of the taint on Sidene. So that the dragon, when he is reborn, will inevitably go mad again and cause another breaking of the world. If the Dragon Reborn was a girl, then nobody would be scared of her because she wouldn't go insane. Nobody would be scared of the Dragon Reborn. They'd just be like, oh, it's just another girl. No big deal. And I hear you, and I say that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I think a female dragon of the Dragon Reborn, which obviously we know behind the scenes, there can be no female dragon, but a female champion of the light. If there was a female Dragon Reborn, that would be terrifying, right? That would be absolutely terrifying still.
The dragon, people conflate the fear people have over the taint of Sidene with fear of the dragon. And of course, like, people within the Wheel of Time universe do conflate that fear. But the Karaethon cycle does not mention the dragon being mad. It does not mention the taint. The only reference to madness in the Karaethon cycle is that the dragon will cure the wounds of madness.
Right.
The dragon is terrifying because the dragon is prophesied to destroy the world.
Yes. And saying that if the Dragon Reborn was a girl wouldn't be terrifying and so ruins the whole premise of the book. Okay, then you're saying that female channelers aren't terrifying. So you're saying Lanfear isn't terrifying. You're saying Moghedian is not terrifying. You're saying Semiraj isn't terrifying.
As Pintor Tash points out, yeah, because no one's afraid of
Aes
Sedai.
No one's afraid of Aes Sedai. Those guys are chill.
There's
chill
not an entire extremist organization that's powered by their fear of women channelers. There's not every single person we meet who isn't like a fucking nobleman. Like, even the noblemen being terrified of Aes Sedai. So
that claim is a fallacy, in my opinion. Is a complete fallacy.
It's just wrong. Like, in the eye of the world, like, when these country kids, like Randall Thor, is first being healed and stuff by Moiraine, his internal monologue is like, wow, it's terrifying to think that the power that caused the breaking of the world is touching me right now.
Mm-hmm. They don't even want to be healed.
Yeah.
Because it's so terrifying. So that claim that if the Dragon Reborn was female, it would ruin the whole premise of the books because she wouldn't be terrifying is a complete fallacy and misreading of the book, either willfully or just obtusely.
And Mauricio, I'm glad you pointed this out. Yes, what we're saying is we think at a narrative level, Egwene, this is a prediction, people. Egwene is going to be the Dragon Reborn.
Oh, official prediction of the maidens.
Because
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say because Moiraine, who is trying to be careful and not make assumptions about what has to be true so that she can do her job as best she can, is entertaining the possibility that the dragon might be a woman in this clip. Therefore, the entire show is going to change everything. Egwene is going to be the dragon.
Egwene's going to be, yeah. I still see people worrying about that.
I don't get it.
I still see people being like, I really hope they don't make Egwene the dragon. That would change everything. Yeah, it would. So why would they do that?
They're not going to do that.
That would, one, be stupid because it would change the whole premise of everything. And that's why we're watching the show, is for the premise. And two, it'd be way harder. They have to come up with a whole new story now. Why would they do that? They have a perfect series. They could just follow that. Why would they change it and make more work for themselves?
To address a point Susan made earlier, Harriet and Brandon are okay with this. And do we think that we as random fans know better than Harriet and Brandon Sanderson?
Come on, you guys. Come on. Like, toughen up. Honestly, this is my advice for the Wheel of Time fandom. Toughen up and smarten up.
Yeah.
Right? That's just not a smart thing to say. Oh, I hope they don't make Egwene the dragon. That would change everything. That's not being very smart. And getting so upset. I can't believe that Moiraine said that it might be a girl. That changes canon. Toughen up. Toughen up.
Okay, first of all, Talmane's only issue is how will they handle false dragons. Just because Moiraine, who's a highly educated Aes Sedai, who has read the prophecies of the dragon, pondered them, is aware of what is logically necessitated by them and what isn't, might be open to the possibility that there is a woman dragon reborn, doesn't mean that that is what is commonly believed by the people of this world. The people might assume that because Lews Therin was a man, the dragon reborn will be a man. So you might not even see any woman false dragons. If you do see women false dragons, I don't know, it'd be kind of dope. Why not?
That'd be sick.
Like, most false dragons can't even channel anyway. So if you have some like Boudica, warrior woman who rises up and is like, I'm the fucking dragon reborn, and raises an army and like whatever,
That'd
I
be
don't
sick
see
as
how
hell.
is that any different from any other false dragon?
And how is that a bad thing? That'd be
How's
cool
that a bad thing? That'd be
for the
cool as
story.
hell.
So the only side of this debate that I think, for me personally, actually gets a little bit of respect from me. I've been a little disrespectful in my talk today. I recognize that. The only side of this debate that actually gets a little bit of respect from me, though I do say a little bit, is the person who says, well, this is just worrying to me.
Yeah.
That is a big change, and that if they are willing to make this big change or to make this strong stance, what does that say about what they do with the rest of the series? And so I'm just worried. Why would they? This is what they say. Why would they make unnecessary changes?
Yeah.
Why would they make unnecessary? They didn't have to make this change. If they're willing to make this unnecessary change, what other unnecessary change are they going to make?
Yeah. But I
And
think
to that
this
I say, it's
please.
unnecessary to you.
Yeah.
It is unnecessary to you. It actually is very necessary in terms of marketing, storytelling, gaining a wider audience. So you think it's unnecessary, but they actually have really good reasons for it. And I think it's better. It's actually better this way. A little more mystery, right? Oh, what was your Lanfear comment, Wheel?
Wheel Chazeel said, Lanfear is terrifyingly hot. I wanted to rip my skin off and call me Luz. That's a great comment. I would have given you G.
Honestly, I'd give you G for that.
But for asking for toe, you get toe.
You get toe for asking for toe.
Wheel Chazeel, when will you learn?
This is a new thing, and there is no honor in it. I just read that chapter when I'm in the best part. Oh, Sarah, we have to talk about how I'm in the best part of the Shadow Rising right now. I'm in the absolute best part, you guys. But I just read the chapter where the dreamers, the wise ones are explaining G and Toe to Egwene and Moiraine, and they talk about how some Gaishain are especially humble and make a real show of it. And Barrier says, this is a new thing, and
Matt Stagger, I don't want to
no G.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Matt Stagger, I don't want to address this any deeper, but I believe there's a way.
There is a way. We've talked about it
But we're not going to talk about it anymore.
Okay, because that's spoilers, because that's major spoilers. But we have talked about it in a previous episode, how there is a way that they'll be able to fake being Aes Sedai.
Okay, so I do want to keep talking about the gender stuff because I think it's interesting.
Very. I mean, we could talk about this
the changes because the show doesn't want to make the male as the only potential savior. And this wouldn't actually be a necessary change because Amarisu could have been spun out. And Robert Jordan has said that. Why I think this change is vital is because I personally hate the idea of gendered souls. I don't think souls... I mean, okay, in real world, I don't believe in souls. But in this fantasy world still, I don't like the idea of a gendered soul because that does not align at all with my understanding of gender and gender identity, and it just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make sense to me. And
Mm-hmm.
it does make sense to me that Robert Jordan would write about it because Robert Jordan and I had very different belief systems. Robert Jordan
Mm-hmm.
was a devout Christian. Robert Jordan was, as far as I know, a cishet man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're coming from very different places when it comes to both souls and gender. But as a member of a modern audience, of a minority group, as a trans person, I will say, like, I think gendered souls are stupid. I think they are a detriment to the mythos of the Wheel of Time. And I think that I saw a lot of takes out there defending, well, the dragon could be born as a woman, but still relying on like gendered soul belief systems. Like, look at Halima. That's a male soul put into a woman's body that still channels Sidene. So the dragon could be Luz Theron's male Sidene channeling soul born into a female body, and that would make them like a trans man, and that would be interesting. And of course, I agree, it would be interesting to have the dragon be a trans man. But just because the soul is reborn, I don't think it doesn't mean that they have to channel Sidene. And Halima is not proof of that. Halima
Mm-hmm.
is not a pure, untarnished soul. Halima is a soul with all of the same life experiences and memories and conditioning into channeling Sidene when Halima gets put into the female body. Um,
Right.
but if this show wants to open up space for non binary and trans characters for a more gender expansive population, they have to do away with rigid, entrenched, gendered souls. They simply have to. And part of that means no, the dragon can't be mandated to be one gender at an ontological level because, like, philosophically, that invalidates the idea that you could have like trans people in this world, in my understanding of the system. There are other takes. That's my take. And it's why I liked
I
it
love
so
that
much.
take, and I loved listening to it. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. That's absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if how the show will tackle it, or even if they will. But it's funny, Sarah, but that you talk about Aelfin and Eelfin, because I just read those chapters. And speaking of gender,
Where are we at?
I
Where are we at?
found it
There it is.
so hilarious. Hilarious. So I was just reading the first Aelfin and Eelfin chapters in the Shadow Rising. And it's hilarious that even the Aelfin and the Eelfin, who are a completely different species, so different from us human, even they have male and female
Yeah.
of the species. I was like, really? I was shocked by that Robert Jordan had to add in that, oh, these eelfin seemed more feminine, and these aelfin had a crest of hair, so they were female. It's like, what? Really? This is like an alien species, and you're still gonna be like, this one's a girl and this one's a boy. It seemed silly to me. It honestly seemed silly to me.
It is silly. Robert Jordan talks about, in that same interview I played earlier, he talks about also wanting to explore ideas of gender, and in Robert Jordan's understanding of the one power, it's more like a yin yang kind of thing where,
Mm-hmm.
like, I always think of the one power as a singular energy that pushes the wheel. Robert Jordan, though, describes it as two energies that their
Mm.
interaction is what generates the power that drives the wheel. And one of those energies men can tap into, and one of these energies women can tap into. That's how he
Interesting.
describes it in this interview. But that's not what I get from the books.
Yeah, the
the,
one true source.
the one power. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, also, like, when you read the series, like From the Eye of the World, by the time you get to A Memory of Light, the magic system has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
It changes. So there isn't like one canon version of this system either. Anyway, we can move on. Yeah, I mean, the dragon is terrifying because they literally break the world.
Exactly. That doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man, female or male. It's still going to be terrifying if you meet the dragon who's going to break the world. And yes, Plexdet says that, you know, the foretelling does use a gendered pronoun, but we're saying that what if they didn't? What if in the show they didn't? That's not a bad thing.
Well, also, let's read the foretelling. He is born again. I feel him. The dragon takes his first breath on the slopes of Dragon Mount. He is coming. He's coming. Light help us. Light help the world. He lies in the snow and cries like the thunder. He burns like the sun.
And then she
All
dies.
of those he's could also be purely referring to Luz there.
To Luz Theron. Ooh, I never read it that way, but I like that interpretation. Absolutely, because it would be his
Also,
soul reborn.
And this gets into some interesting questions about how foretelling works that I don't think are ever addressed. Foretellings are expressed through human language as filtered through a human brain.
Totally.
So if Gitara has, like, you know, preconceived notions of the gender of the dragon reborn, would that impact her foretelling? I don't know. But I think it's a possibility.
Speaking of foretellings with gendered pronouns, Sarah, why don't you talk about what you were telling me about the other day, about a certain executive or certain producer named Brandon Sanderson on this project might have influenced on our show.
Well, I don't want to spoil Mistborn for people.
Right. Okay. Never mind.
But we can look at the Koreathon cycle. So I do want to look at it because I've seen some misrepresentations of it as using expressly gendered terms to describe the dragon. And I actually disagree. I take issue with this. Let me pull it up here. Koreathon cycle.
Will you remove the comment, please?
Yeah, I'll remove the comment. Yeah, I'll remove the comment. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let's get Koreathon-y.
Yet one shall be born to face the shadow.
There's no way we can read all of this.
Oh, I wasn't reading. I was just reading one line of it.
Because I was considering reading all of it dramatically, and then I was like, whoa, this is long as fuck.
No.
Okay. So within the Koreathon cycle, like there's a post that was on Wetlander Humor the other day, and I know it's silly to engage in discourse with memes, but the post was like pointing out how silly it is to think the dragon could be a woman, and they're like, yeah, in the prophecy that literally refers to him as a king, and it doesn't. That's the thing. The word king does not appear in the Koreathon cycle. It refers to a crown, but there are actually no single gendered words that imply the gender of the dragon reborn other than the pronouns that are used, the masculine pronouns, he, his, him. And those are all throughout the prophecy, yes. But there are no kings. There are no references to the dragon being a man. There are no references to the dragon using Sidene. There are no references to the dragon going insane. He shall heal the wounds of madness. But you know who else healed the wounds of madness? Nynaeve. Yeah. It's like, yeah, he does hold a blade of light in his hands. He does use Kalendor. But, you know, the three shall be one. This is like the most male reference only because Kalendor is like a masculine, whatever, a Sidene, Sangreal. But we don't have the original Koreathon cycle. Yes. So aren't there like different versions of the prophecy? Yes.
Totally.
The Shan have an entirely different version of the prophecy.
The sea folk have the entirely different prophecy. The Jendine prophecy or whatever.
Exactly. And we only have the common, the crude tongue version of this prophecy. I looked for it. As far as I can tell, there is no old tongue version of the Koreathon cycle out there.
Oh, interesting.
So all we have is a translation. And all we have in, 3,000 years after the breaking, by the time the show takes place, is a translation of a rendering of a rewriting of a transcription. The prophecies of the Koreathon cycle are from around the time of the War of Power. These are as old as the break before. They're older than the breaking. So people are like, yeah, we know that the gendered pronouns in this survived the breaking. Also, we don't know what the pronouns were in the old tongue. They could have been using gender neutral pronouns and then it got translated using male pronouns, maybe by an Aes Sedai who didn't want people to suspect women who could channel. There's a fucking helicopter outside my house. Can you hear it?
A little bit. Alicia says, but Moiraine heard that foretelling and she's saying in this video that she doesn't know. And I think that might be a change, right? It might be that in the foretelling in the show, they use they, them pronouns instead of he, him. Or they do use he, him, and she interprets it as it's possible that that was referring to Luce Theron, or it's possible that that was just what the, Aes Sedai who made the foretelling said, but that she didn't actually know that it was a he, him.
And as Sarab says, in world beliefs can be flawed and outdated, and they all are, is the thing. No one in this world has complete knowledge of how the world works.
Yeah.
In fact, we know that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Okay,
and then Plex said is playing Shaitan's advocate, and it's very funny.
Okay, sorry. Playing Shaitan's advocate, all genders are the same when it comes to the true power in the Great Lord. The Betrayer of Hope has some valid points, and the Dark One's offer during Tarmangaidon it was relatively compelling. That's true. We definitely need Shaitan's advocates, or we're at risk of becoming
Shaitan's advocate
ourselves.
Yeah. And Orica makes a great point that if the old tongue is gender neutral or written in or another language that is gender neutral, then the translation we read is an imperfect translation, which is a really important point. And then Pentor Tash says, isn't there a part that refers to him as the Prince of the Morning? And I'm pretty sure that was just a nickname for Luce Theron.
Yeah, there actually is not. The word prince does not. I just did a Control F. The word prince is not in the Koreathon cycle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just a nickname for Luce Theron in his own time.
It said he shall be born of the dawn. Like the unfettered dawn, like the breaking dawn, twice dawns. There's no morning. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, because non-gendered languages exist. Absolutely.
Non-gendered languages exist. And I made that point on Twitter yesterday, and someone was like, well, isn't the old tongue gendered? Like, we have proof, and they pulled out some words from the companion, which were gendered. Like, the companion lists the word Sar, which supposedly means she. And I get it. Like, the companion was put out by Harriet, but it was put out after the book. I couldn't find any old tongue sentence that makes it into the book that uses a single gendered pronoun. Personally, I could definitely be wrong. I don't have like a complete compendium of every old tongue.
Right.
And the companion also listed some other things. Like it listed Dean and Dar as masculine suffix and feminine suffix. But those like barely appear in the old tongue at all. Like Dean also means brother. And
yeah.
The only old tongue words that end in Dean are like Gaideen, which also means like weapon brother for warder. It doesn't have to be a masculine suffix.
Yeah,
and like
because we know that because Birgitte is a Gaideen as well.
Yeah, and what word ends in Sidar? It means in Dar, except for Sidar. The only other words that end in Dar are like Shadar and all the shadow related words, which I don't think are related to feminine. I don't know. I question the canonical nature of the companion on old tongueness personally.
Right.
It also says Bella survives the last battle, even though the books say that she doesn't. So like there are points of contention between the books and the companion.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't matter. We can stop talking about this because in the end, Rand is going to be the dragon. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And so I stand on my advice, you guys, of smarten up and toughen up, because if you get into a tizzy over the little stuff, then what are you going to do? You're going to froth at the mouth when they change big stuff. And they are. They're going to cut whole characters, whole storylines that you might hold dear, right? Like Sarah predicted, they might cut the Elfin and the Ilfin completely. They might cut characters that you find beloved, right?
Bail Doman hasn't been cast yet.
So like, and that's going to be upsetting. And you have, right to be upset about those things, but it's gonna happen. It is going to happen. There is no way they fit 4 million words into 8 seasons with like 6 or 8 episodes each that are only an hour long, you guys.
Okay. Mary Lou. Mary Lou.
Sarah.
I'm just in my head. I'm like, why do I want to keep talking about this gender stuff? And we're not going
Because
to,
it's like
because I know it's
impossible not
tiresome.
to. I know, we love it.
I think the reason it bothers me so much is, or the mistake I'm making is I'm seeing people saying this is not canon, this is impossible within the world of the books, and I'm like, I want to engage with them in good faith and be like, these are the reasons I think it could be. I know that, and I know that there are lots of people who are just like detail obsessed fantasy nerds who are genuinely just concerned about canon. And that's totally fine. And that's why I have the conversation at the level of like wanting to go through the fucking Koreathon cycle.
Right.
But I know the majority of people making these comments are just pissed about gender agendas and whatever. And it's not healthy for me to engage with those people, is it?
No, we can't engage with those folks.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has been Maidens of the Spear, where we talk about the Wheel of Time. And what else do we do, Mary Lou?
We have a really good time, and
That's
we hope
right.
that you had a really good time today.
And Mary Lou, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mary Lou Larry Moo on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch.
And you can find me at Spear Maidens on Twitter, Maidens of the Spear on YouTube and Twitch. And you can also find us on Patreon now.
Exciting. So
That's
if you
right.
feel like contributing, we would be appreciative, but also
right.
not necessary.
Definitely not necessary. We appreciate you no matter what. But you can find us on Patreon if you feel like giving us money. You can do that now.
Sure.
So Patreon Maidens of the Spear. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We hope you all had a really good time. We love you so very much. May you
So deeply.
find just eternal happiness and satisfaction.
That's right.
Bye now.